Browns 17, Giants 13. Welcome to Talking Giants presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And we got ourselves a preseason game to recap. We're going to do our players of the game and kind of just hit on position by position, so take some takes out of it. But Justin, how are you feeling after a preseason game where really almost none of the starters played?
Hey, Bobby Skinner. Last week, a lot of people talked about how the game was boring and it was almost unwatchable. And I was at the game, so I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed being there, and I watched what I wanted to watch. Well, I don't blame you if you had that take last week. Even though this game was a little bit more exciting because it was closer, and the Giants weren't relying on a Hail Mary comeback, even though there was a Hail Mary at the end. It was a very, very boring game, especially when you do consider that not even the starting offensive line played. At least we had that last week against the Jets. But very boring game. There's not a ton of takes I feel like you can take out of it, and we'll talk about exactly why, even though I get a lot of people may be frustrated about various things. But 1 week closer to football, it's just good to see these guys back out there. And how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. But you said the game was boring. There's a couple of boring people I know. We got Trey Randini, and we got Ross Cole. Justin, who are these boringless, personality lacking individuals?
Wow, Ross Cole? How dare you say that? Somebody with the last name Cole. Love that last name. These non-boring people, because Bobby Skinner's mean, they went to patreon.com/Talking Giants. Patreon's been doing some fun things. They have a really tight-knit community over there, and I think we do a good job of kind of fostering that community. So patreon.com/Talking Giants. You get to hang out with us while we record the shows. So for example, we have about 15 people in here right now watching us break down this game live before it goes on podcast, before it goes on the YouTube. Bobby gives you a free magnet, and you get entered into shirt raffles, which I believe is also happening after the show. Patreon.com/Talking Giants, 1 week closer to regular season football.
All right, before we get into individual players, almost none of the starters played. I mean, the only starters that played were, Xavier McKinney, and Darnay Holmes, really, and Julian Love, if you want to count him. But they didn't play any starters. In fact, only 16 guys who I think are you can be pretty confident are going to make the roster play. And at first I said 17, but Graham Gano didn't play because Ryan Santoso, which is something we can actually talk about at the end of the episode, which I'm going to take a little note of. But here's the guys who played that are going to make the roster: Mike Glennon, Devontae Booker, Corey Clement, Elijah Penny, Caden Smith, Jonathan Harrison, Carter Coughlin, Reggie Ragland, O'Shane Zimenez, and Ifeadi Odenigbo. And I even saw a couple people disputing that. Cam Brown, who's kind of a special teamer anyway, Darnay Holmes, Xavier McKinney, and Julian Love. So essentially 13 players who aren't just special teams players, because Cam Brown is making the roster because of special teams. And Joe Judge explained it. And he also reiterated that the starters will play the first half next week versus New England. He's like, hey, this was part of our plan with this joint practice. He's like, we went competitive like crazy against Cleveland for 2 days. It was very competitive, and we just, we wanted to let those guys, focus on that practice, and then, try and avoid injury. And then next week is when they're going to do their dress rehearsal for their starters.
Yeah, and that's how Carl Banks and Bob Papa started off their broadcasts today. I know NFL Network was showing the Browns telecast, so Bobby, I'd be interested to hear if they said anything about the joint practices on their end and their observations. But they started
Joe
off.
Thomas said the Giants got the better of the Browns on day 2. How about that?
I thought that was obvious. I think day 1 was a little bit more debatable, but still, I was overall very happy with how the Giants competed against a very good football team and a very well-run football team in the Cleveland Browns. But they started off their telecast, Papa and Banks did, by saying that it was a very intense 2 days of practice, and obviously with Sterling Shepard and Troy Hill getting in a swinging match that half the people in the world thought was a joke at first, and then it's like, oh no, it's not a joke. They were swinging at each other, and Troy Hill with the slow hands and Sterling Shepard with the nice duck. So yeah, it was intense. My main point from this game, just outside of the football field, because a lot of people were upset before the game started that the starters weren't playing. First of all, what are you going to learn from seeing Daniel Jones for 2 series? What are you really going to learn from Daniel Jones? We're not really going to learn anything, and if anything, you're putting him in harm's way. So that's number one. And number two, if you are frustrated from this game, like Snacks is, I had to talk Snacks off a ledge for a half an hour after the game. But if you do go position by position, you look at who started and who did not, like the guys that were here today, they're, God willing, they're just not going to be major parts of what makes this football team churn this year on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. So you also have to keep that in mind if you're a little frustrated from what you saw on the field today.
Yeah, I mean, the most important player that played today was probably Xavier McKinney, and he played one series. And Darnay Holmes only played a couple series, I do think they need to play next week, though, and they will play next week. But, I do think Daniel Jones needs some reps, not necessarily to get hit or for the experience, but more so okay, let's get back in the swing of the pressure matters. You don't get to just, throw the ball and avoid hits without having to do anything. Like every sack, it needs to be, it ruins the play. Not that one might have been a sack. Did they call it dead kind of thing? No, it's if you get sacked on this play, it ruins the play, which should speed up your time. It's just, you can't replicate. That's the one thing you can't replicate in practice. They did, Rappaport said Saquon would be ramped up this week. I don't think we're seeing Saquon next week. I just don't think they're going to give him any game reps if he hasn't gotten a full practice load in. So yeah, I mean, they didn't play him. Whatever your opinion is, whatever. Now let's talk about our players of the game. And Justin, for a second week in a row, Carter Coughlin. 4 tackles, another sack, another tackle for a loss. And he's just proving that he is a weapon for Patrick Graham. He is forcing Patrick Graham at this point to play him in the regular season. I don't know if he'll be the starter week 1, but if he can replicate some of this, obviously I'm not going to say he's going to get a sack and a tackle for a loss every game of the year, or else he'd be one of the best inside linebackers in the game. But if he can replicate this type of play, then he's going to play himself into the starting lineup over Tate Crowder, over Reggie Ragland, especially when you're next to a guy like Blake Martinez. Maybe if you didn't have a guy like Blake Martinez, maybe you pump the brakes a little bit. But let Carter Coughlin play his gap, play it fast, play it aggressive. He is becoming a weapon. And they didn't do this last week, but it's something we talked about with Carter Coughlin, an inside linebacker. What did we talk about? It's on third down, line him up in the A gap over the center, and will he beat tackles consistently as a pass rusher in the NFL? No, he won't. But he will interior offensive lineman. He will embarrass interior offensive lineman. And guess what? He did that. He got a sack. He also had another play, third down, where he blitzed. And that's where O'Shane Zimenez got the coverage sack on the sideline, which, they forced Case Keenum to roll out. I mean, he had some bad plays in coverage, which we'll talk about, but he is forcing Patrick Graham to play him, and he is proving why he is a weapon. And honestly, this move to inside linebacker was perfect for him. I'm so happy they pulled the trigger on this move, because it's going to pay dividends in the season when you have someone like him that you can move around the field and be a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, similar takes as we had last week and kind of leading up to this game too about the value of Carter Coughlin and, can he be this team's Kyle Van Noy? So here's a transition, because we know, Carter Coughlin, good. He had a sack, he had a QB hit. They also in the game log for the game book that they had from this Cleveland game, they also had him as for a tackle for loss. So good. We've seen Carter Coughlin do very, very well and basically be the player of the game and be the best player on the football field, at least in talking about from a pass rushing standpoint, and then also as a penetrating in the run game as well. But what is he going to do next week, and how is he going to be used next week with the starters hopefully playing a half a ball? And how does he fit when the speed of the game is ramped up just a little bit more? I don't know if the scheme's going to be ramped up a little bit more too, but how is he going to look there, and how comfortable is he going to look? So that is my main question for him right now. But that's good. I mean, a challenging, wanting more out of Carter Coughlin when he's already showed this much, to be at this point is phenomenal, when just a couple weeks ago we were wondering, is he even going to make the team?
And when a guy makes a position switch, especially to an inside linebacker role, it's is he going to be your worry is is he going to be passive? Is he going to be overthinking it? And he's not. And he's made some mistakes because of it. He had a big mistake versus the Jets, where he was supposed to be man coverage and thought the running back was blocking and blitz, and the running back caught the ball. And then he had one play, gave him a coverage, which it was on him, but it wasn't like that. Blake Martinez probably gives up that same play. Every linebacker on the team probably gives up that same play. But he had the defensive pass interference, which was big, and it was bad, and it was ugly. Which it would have been good coverage if he was able to turn his hips, and get his head around. He could have had an interception, honestly, because he was in that position. But he just basically tackles the tight end when the tight end slows down to turn around and make the catch, and it's a big defensive pass interference, which like that, those are huge mistakes. You can't have those in games. Those can be game-changing plays. That was a third down. So that can be the difference of a team punting the ball or getting, a drive extended and scoring 7 points. So you can't have those type of things. So he definitely has things to get better at. But again, I'd rather him be making mistakes because he's a little too aggressive than because he's too passive, which we see all the time with guys that switch positions, even if it's the safety to a linebacker.
Yep.
You see it. It's like, Tay Davis. I love Tay Davis's athletic ability, going way back. But it's like he was so passive. It's like when he went, it's like, okay, he's good, he's fast, he's athletic, but he would just sit, and he was passive, and he only played a zone in coverage, never turned his zone into man. So, yeah, he definitely has things he needs to get better at. But you know what? Like, Tay Crowder's not a player without flaws. Reggie Ragland's not a player without flaws. Like, he's going to be playing next to Blake Martinez at week one. Week one, he's going to get important reps, especially on third down.
Yeah, third down is tricky because if he's going to struggle in coverage. Now, Bobby, I have a feeling that, Tay Crowder has his struggles in coverage. Every linebacker is somewhat at a mismatch when you have such freakish athletic tight ends, freakish athletic running backs, and et cetera, et cetera. Devontae Downs was covering a running back out as a wide receiver today. And yes, Devontae Downs is bad, and he allowed a big play, but also these guys are athletes, and the linebackers are big and strong and fast, but sometimes they're not as quick and fast as running backs and wide receivers and tight ends, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, Carter Coughlin transitioning positions into a position that he hasn't played since high school. He looked in coverage today like he hasn't been an interior linebacker since high school. And there are certain areas in which he is very, very strong in, and certain areas and certain roles that he could play as an inside linebacker where you don't know what he's going to do and you don't know where he's going to be. But also, if you're out there on third down and you see Carter Coughlin in the A-gap, well, it's like, well, you have to think about this. There's a 75% chance he comes in and he blitzes because that's just what he's much better at. And then the 25% chance that he may drop back into coverage. Let's target him and let's go at him because he's not used to it and because he just doesn't have that in-game reps of learning how to turn your head, learning how to put your hand up, learning how to not make contact with the guy in front of him or keep up with another guy. Does that make sense? And if anything, you lose that level of versatility when you have somebody who just doesn't know what to do out there.
Yeah, I agree, but he also had like some good reps in coverage too. It wasn't like he was just being targeted like left and right. He had a bad play, but like.
That one bad play looked like. Yeesh. That's my point.
Yeah, he like tackled a tight end while the ball was coming to him. Like it was but like he had another play where they, tried to throw to the tight end on the bootleg and he's playing right in that tight end's hip pocket, and there was a couple other plays. So yeah, listen, I'm not sitting here saying like Carter Coughlin is the next, great inside linebacker, but like he's forcing the Giants to play him. Like the Giants will be playing him week one, I believe, after seeing these two preseason games.
Absolutely.
All right. Next, offensive player of the game. And this one was really exciting for me. Jonathan Harrison. Started every game at center. He was the first Giants free agent of the free agency season, even though it was pre-free agency season. It was in January or February when they signed him. Played the whole game at center, and he looked good, man. Like, he looked on a different level than every other offensive lineman that was out there around him. He should be the first guy off the bench, like how good he looked. Like if Shane Lemieux, Will Hernandez goes down, you either put Jonathan Harrison at guard or you put Jonathan Harrison at center and Nick Gates at guard because he looks superior to the guys around him. Now I do want to preface this with it was a lot of four-man fronts, not a lot of blitzing, and I did think the backup Cleveland D linemen were very slow. So consider that in preseason, But with all that, he looked athletic. Like in the run game, working double teams, he was getting to the second level so fast. Like he looked almost like a linebacker the way he'd get to the second level. Like it was really encouraging to see. He had a couple pancakes in the run game. There was one time where he rolled up the linebacker and the linebacker tried to stand over him after the play and bait him into a penalty.
That was funny.
He literally put his hand laid it like a dead body composite composite sketch on the ground. I thought about it. It was just so tiny on the screen, but anyways, like he didn't get baited in that. And then in pass pro, had good feet, like what good leverage, was working his hands, like didn't miss an assignment, wasn't getting like pushed back. Like he looked really good. Like he was, you know, he's the reason. It's the reason I'm calling him the offensive player of the game. Like he might be the Giants' best backup offensive lineman because we haven't seen Nate Solder yet, and I don't think we're expecting the world out of Nate Solder when we do see him. Like he very well may be. Coming into this camp, we looked at Zach Fulton, or at least myself, Zach Fulton and Nate Solder is probably better depth options than Jonathan Harrison. And then they signed Joe Looney, and it's like, is Jonathan Harrison even going to make this team? He very well may be the best backup on this offensive line.
Which is extremely refreshing. And, you know, I said this about Ted Larson when, Bobby, you called Ted Larson your player to look out for this weekend. And basically, we were just begging for any backup offensive lineman to step up to make the Giants' job of post 50, getting the roster down to the 53-man roster and the 53 cuts, make the Giants' job easier where getting an interior offensive lineman isn't a life or death situation, right? Where before this game, it kind of was. We were looking at that data as like, oh my gosh, they need to add a couple bodies in here of guys that they're looking at and guys that they may like, maybe from Cleveland because they self-scouted and maybe from New England next week because they're going to have a look at those guys too. But if Jonathan Harrison can be that guy, the 6/7th man, where Solder is that swing tackle, Harrison can be that swing guard / center, and you feel better about the depth of the offensive line because you're not going to have, as your 6th and 7th guys, you're not going to have like quality starter guys as your 6th and 7th guys, or else they would start.
Right, and Jonathan Harrison started like a good amount. Like it makes sense that he's a good, like he'd be a good backup. It's not like he's showing up out of nowhere. Where it's like, oh my gosh, like this guy, he started a good amount of games in the NFL.
It was refreshing though.
Yeah, no doubt it was, and it was. He just looked like a different player than everyone else on the offensive line, like especially with the two guards next to him, which we're going to talk about next, the Kenny Wiggins, Ted Larson stuff. But it just looks athletic. Like he just had a really good game. Now he did have a couple bad reps, when the backside guard would pull and he was supposed to pin that like defensive tackle 3 technique. He had a couple bad reps doing that, and there was one other rep I wrote down, but I think I threw my notes away on that. But so he wasn't. Oh, on the 2-point conversion, he got driven back like 2 yards on that play. And the running back, Gary Brightwell bounced it, and I'm sure that had a little bit to do with it. So not a perfect game, but he looked good out there, man. So that's just really exciting to see. Now, I do think the Giants should still be looking around for some O-line depth.
But like I said, it now, I don't want to say now based off of just one game, but it would be nice where, like I said, before this game, we're thinking it's a matter of life and death, because there was just no depth at all. But now it's like, all right, we have Harrison, we have Solder. Let's just get another body in here who can be versatile, maybe play some guard, maybe play tackle, and then we can be solid with our 3 or 4 backup offensive linemen, however many they want to carry.
And I want to talk about Kenny Wiggins and Ted Larson. But first, everyone's favorite time of the year is right around the corner. College football season to celebrate DraftKings Sportsbook. America's top-rated sportsbook app is putting new players in the center of the action with $200 in free bets instantly if you bet $1 more on any college football game. Take advantage of this limited time offer now. You heard right. DraftKings is giving all new players $200 in free bets instantly when you place a bet of $1 more on any college football game, no matter what. Head to DraftKings Sportsbook app now to check out all the great promotions and daily odds boosts that they're offering. DraftKings Sportsbook is safe, secure, and reliable. Located right here in the United States. Woo, America! So it's easy to pause and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any college football game. That's promo code JOHNBOY to get your free $200 in free bets instantly for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers apply. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Indiana. 1-800-9-WITH-IT. All right, Justin, click. Now let's talk about the other offensive lineman that mattered, which is Ted Larson and Kenny Wiggins. So this was Ted Larson's first action with the Giants, and it started bad. I mean, go look at the first 2 passing plays of the game. Ted Larson basically just gets walked around by one of the defensive linemen. Where it's like, do you think this was a walkthrough or something? Like, just
tell
gets
us where
walked
they were
around
playing.
on.
So Kenny Wiggins was the left guard. So what was the breakdown?
Wiggins
Who
was the
playing
left guard. Larson was the right guard. There
Got
was one series where Larson went to left and Brett Hagee came in at right, but that was the alignment basically the whole game. It was just really bad. And then on that bootleg, or on that play action max protect shot to David Sills, which we'll talk about, he just misses the blitzer. Like, he sees the blitzer coming and he's helping his guy, and he just comes off way too late, and the blitzer gets in and gets a hit on Mike Glennon. But he did settle down after that, and like he doesn't have any horrible reps after that. Well, he has some bad reps, but nothing horrible. But it's just, there was nothing like, oh, that's a good rep from Ted Larson. Like, there was none of that. I think he's a better blocker than Kenny Wiggins. Watching Kenny Wiggins again, it wasn't a disaster game, but it's just, he's very slow. Like, his pad level's horrible. Like, he's not bringing his hands to the party. He's hitting guys with his shoulder pads, and he has high pad level. When you see both of them pull, it's like Larson, while not fast, is faster than Kenny Wiggins. So, at the moment, I am Ted Larson's. It's greater than Kenny Wiggins, and that's not a Ted Larson and encouragement. That is just Kenny Wiggins. Kenny Wiggins just doesn't look like he's ready to play in the NFL. Ted Larson, it would maybe not be a disaster, but again, I think part of these guys not being a disaster, and maybe it's why we can, relax a little on Jonathan Harrison, was that the Cleveland interior D line was so slow. Like, they were just a very slow group of backups they had playing on the D line, and with 4-man rushes, it was kind of easy for the interior.
Yeah, and when I was going to say, when you consider that nobody was really blitzing all that much, yeah. I mean, the Browns only had, I believe, 4 or 5 QB hits versus the Giants had 3 sacks and 6 QB hits, if I'm remembering it correctly.
All the Giants sacks on offense were like QB blamed. Like, almost all of them were like the QB just didn't throw the ball and tried to like climb up through the pocket and got sacked.
Yeah, Lewerke was climb in the pocket / he's only been in the system for like 5 days, so he doesn't know where to go with the ball, so then he just runs forward and the defensive lineman tackles him. So yeah, they didn't give up a lot of pressure, and the running game was working quite well, just about the old line as a whole. It's tough to give takes because, again, I don't see these guys besides Jonathan Harrison and maybe one of Ted Larson or Kenny Wiggins. I don't see any of these guys being major contributors this year, or even just making the team flat out. I don't see it. So,
I mean, at this moment, Ted Larson's making the team,
right?
Or Kenny Wiggins. One of those two is making the team.
Well, that's what I said. One of the two. That's what I said. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like you don't see either one.
No, one of the two, and Jonathan Harrison.
Yeah, but basically, we liked what we saw from Jonathan Harrison. He's going to make the team. He was going to make the team before today.
Yep.
Still, they should still be looking to add depth.
Yep.
We could talk maybe a little about some trades when we talk about Santoso later. Other big performer, David Sills. Nice. I don't think David Sills is making the team at the moment. I just don't. I'm sorry, but he had 3 catches for 31 yards and that touchdown was why we like David Sills. It's like that contested catch king. Kenny. Poor man's Kenny Galladay had that, and he had a couple other plays that were left on the field. Like that play action shot from Glennon was overthrown, but Sills beat his guy. He stacked him, beat him. And then on the play action boot where they throw to Caden Smith and he catches it with one hand, Sills was wide.
Oh boy, here we go. Oh my! I'm so pissed he muted himself. He's sneezing like a madman right now. Oh wow, that was a short one.
And David Sills was just like right in front of his face on the crosser route, and he throws it to Caden Smith. And that could have been like a 15-yard play. He did have the offensive pass interference. He's playing a little special teams. I'm not really noticing him on special teams, but he is playing some special teams.
Yeah, I'm not really paying attention. Besides the Cam Brown.
Yeah, Cam Brown. But man, what he is doing is that if he does get cut, it's gonna be tough because you do see some good stuff there from David Sills.
If we didn't have Kyle Rudolph, or if we didn't have Kenny Galladay, then I would feel a lot more personally invested in him making the team. It's just his skill set is nothing that fully separates him. A contested catch guy who had 3 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown today. And I'm not diminishing. You can't diminish based off of just stats in a preseason game, but it wasn't. This kid's not Victor Cruz in the preseason when he did well. So I'm sorry, I'm just poo-pooing on him.
Well, no, it's just he plays for a guy that would be the sixth wide receiver probably, it's really not the playing style you look for in that role. Where it's like you have to play, be a special teams guy. And it's like, do you want your sixth wide receiver being a contested catch type wide receiver? Like, it just doesn't sound right. And it sucks he didn't get to stick around last year. Like, it sucks that he hurt his foot last year because last year was the year to happen.
Oh, yeah. Giants thirsted for that certainly last year. And I'm sorry I'm poo-pooing on David Sills. He's a guy that you do want to root for, but when I look at John Ross's skill set and when you look at what a wide receiver 6 is supposed to do with you, and a lot of people may argue that he should be wide receiver 5, I'm sorry, John Ross just excites me more. And if we're going to carry 6 wide receivers, it shouldn't be for David Sills. I'm sorry.
Good game, though. Say it again. Say that last part again.
If the Giants do carry 6 wide receivers, it shouldn't be for David Sills. Like, he shouldn't be the 6th guy. A guy that can contribute more on special teams, if they really value that. Board, I guess.
Board muffed the punt today.
Well,
have you ever remembered a play that Board made on special teams? I'm so sick of people saying Board is like a good special teams player.
I guess he's a gunner. I don't know. Do we?
But
need
we have
to pay
all
attention?
these gunners now. We have 1 million people who are gunners. Every guy we get, he's a gunner.
I feel bad when I say screw special. You know what? I shouldn't feel bad. If you're really going to dislike me when I say that I hate special teams and I dislike it and I just don't pay attention to it, then you're going to dislike me for many other reasons in my life. So I'm just going to be the fan, because this is a fan podcast. I'm just going to say I'm going to stop formulating takes around special teams.
Okay, then who's your 6th wide receiver if they keep 6?
How about none of the above? Because I think they should just keep 5.
David Sills. I'm still in the Sills army. I want him on the roster.
I just got low-key mad.
Just think about a player that other teams would try to steal. Would CJ Board be that? No. Would David Sills? Absolutely. And David Sills already was one of that. The Giants stole him from the Bills. So, I want David Sills to make the roster. We got Cam Brown. We got, Keon Crossan. We got plenty of guys who can play special teams. Okay. Our 6th wide receiver can be a guy that maybe doesn't play a ton of them. All right. Speaking of the passing game, Glennon looked like a competent backup. That was nice. 10 of 13, 86 yards.
I would have liked him to hit that one crossing route where he was throwing on the run. I don't think throwing on the run is Mike Glennon's specialty. Because that would have been at least a 15-yard gain, I think. The thing is that there was nothing special today. That's the thing. I need to see Mike Glennon make some more difficult throws. Now, I'm not saying that we need to find another backup. That's not what I'm saying. But my opinion on Mike Glennon kind of hasn't changed from last week, where, yes, he did look better. He was a lot more efficient, 10 of 13 for 86 yards. You're averaging 8.6 yards per completion. That's not that bad, but, just making more difficult tight window throws is something that I would like to see if he does play the second half of next week.
All right, Mike Glennon. Justin wants you to stop throwing to the open guys and throw to tight windows.
More tight window throws, meaning like
I know. I'm just
down the field
I'm
and
nitpicking. Running back 2 battle. Devontae Booker 6 carries, 27 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.5 yards per pop, 2 catches, 13 yards. Clement 9 for 33.3 yards per carry. Devontae Booker is the backup running back to Saquon Barkley. And if there was any doubt about it before this game, the doubt is gone. Devontae Booker was signed. His contract shows that he would be the backup running back. And after this game, Devontae Booker made a couple guys miss, while Clement tried to bounce a couple plays and got it turned into nothing. So Clement, I don't think that means Clement doesn't have a role on this team, but Devontae Booker is running back too.
Yeah, I'd agree. Booker did look a little bit more powerful today. That north-south, more aggressive mentality, I think, came out more this game versus the Jets. He just looked generally slow, and Clement looked just generally more explosive. And this week it was kind of the opposite, where Clement wasn't taking what's in front of him, and Booker certainly did. And there was a third down check down that Glennon made, and Booker made somebody miss in the in the passing game, and it was nice. It was nice to see Devontae Booker have a little bit of a bounce back game and do well. So I'm with you. I still do think that if there is a reality where Saquon Barkley, is limited in his touches, so to speak, to kind of start the season, then Devontae Booker and Corey Clement, they should be splitting touches themselves, but Booker will probably get the majority of them.
Speaking of Saquon, Ian Rappaport before the game said that the plan is to get Saquon to some team drills, including with the Patriots, which, there was a debate if he would be back week 1. I think it's safe to say Saquon's going to be back week 1.
Yeah, and I think we've
after this
that.
week, they have a full week of another week of training camp, type practices, and then it's game prep. Saquon Barkley.
Who has doubted? Who? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but who has doubted Saquon Barkley's status for week 1? Because I've seen a
Ian
ton
Rappaport,
of people.
Jordan Renan.
Have they doubted it though? Have they said that there's a chance he's not going to play?
Yes, they've literally said those exact words.
That has never entered into my mind that was ever a reality.
I mean, I've thought about it. I never thought it was going to happen, but I've thought about. I mean, Ian Rappaport doesn't just say stuff for the for the sake of it, and Jordan Renan said the same thing. But Sandro didn't get any reps. That was a little
pissed.
sad.
I'm freaking pissed about that.
Maybe they just want to let him have his moment versus the Jets and just keep it in history.
No,
and not have it be tarnished at all.
Nope. I'm pissed about it.
Gary Brightwell was back too. So I mean, we probably won't see Sandro again because next week is the dress rehearsal.
Yeah. How do you think Brightwell looked? Brightwell had a couple nice runs. He looked better than I thought. There was one play where it was a face mask on not the guy that tackled Brightwell, but somebody who was blocking another defensive back. I wanted Brightwell to lower his shoulder and run somebody over because he really tackled high, but instead Brightwell just freaking headbutted him and only got a little bit of yards after contact. I thought he looked decent. He didn't look as slow as I thought he would.
He looked decent. I also do remember it's every year, it's whatever running back's playing in the fourth quarter looks good, I mean, hell, even John Hillman looked decent at times in preseason.
Wow.
So, but he did look, he looked good. I don't think he's not going to make the team unless I keep 4 running backs along with Elijah Penny. But that was good. All right, before we talk about some guys on the defense, read the ad.
Sure. So next week, Snacks and I, we are headed to Foxborough, Massachusetts, Gillette Stadium to see the New England Patriots and the New York Football Giants have a joint practice together Wednesday and Thursday. Practices are at 10 a.m. and then hopefully we'll be live streaming. Well, no, we're definitely live streaming on YouTube afterwards, but hopefully it's at around 1:30 p.m. So follow the socials for our clips. Follow, everything. Follow everything. Follow the YouTube for the live streams after. They're going to be full-on practice reports. And the sponsor for today's show and the sponsor for that trip is going to be Manscaped, the leaders in below the waist grooming. It's back to school time. We want to make sure that you pack the essentials to have the best year yet. Manscaped, the 4th generation performance package, it's just that. Things are opening up, including joint practices between the Giants and the Patriots. Be ready for whatever the daily schedule has ahead of you. It's the perfect package for your package and includes the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Fellas, go for the valedictorian of ball trimming, the Bill Belichick, the Joe Judge of ball trimmers, and join the 2 million worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com with the code GIANTS. Lawnmower 4.0, 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on-off switch, can engage in a travel lock and gives you the ability to turn 4000K LED spotlight on and off whenever you need it for a more precise shave. Did we also mention the Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof? That is right. I may even bring it. to Foxborough with me. I don't know. Snacks time, we may go meet some ladies, Bobby. I don't know. I think we will. Boston?
Yeah, you
kind of close by.
You.
I got to bring it with me. So, Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0, Performance Package 4.0. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring the trip. Manscaped.com. Use the promo code GIANTS when you check out. Thank you, Manscaped, again.
Yeah, I mean, in Boston, you might want to protect yourself as well.
That's true.
On the defensive side, we don't want you. Anyways,
I will hit somebody with the Lawnmower 4.0.
On the defensive side of the ball, let's talk about the edge room.
Sure.
Now, I'll be honest, I didn't rewatch this player individually yet, and I got some comments of he wasn't setting the edge well. But O'Shane Ximines was getting to the quarterback. He had a couple QB hits. He did have that cover sack with that's no play to write home about. Now I will say probably pass rushing versus second string pass rushers versus second string O linemen might be the biggest advantage of second string players. You know what I mean? Just because second string tackles are so bad in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, most first-string tackles are bad in the NFL. But you know what? It was good to see. It was good to see. And we'll talk about some other edge guys, like they weren't making those plays. So Lorenzo and Aziz are outside linebacker 1 and 2. Those guys are the starting. But someone has to step up as the third guy. And why not it be O'Shane Ximines? Like, he showed the most out of any of these guys today. And again, we can talk about setting the edge. It's like, did Ryan Anderson set the edge? Well, no, because I noticed him not setting the edge more so. Trent Harris has been, someone that I suppose he's had a good camp and played a little stacked linebacker today. But it's like, you really like counting on Trent Harris, Nico Lelos, and then Ifedi Odenigbo? Like, Ifedi didn't do anything this game. Like, he looked bad as a pass rusher. Like, he had one good rep last week. This week he didn't have a single tackle, and he played a good amount of reps. Like, if there's one player I'm very disappointed in preseason so far, it's Ifedi Odenigbo. So right now, I'm gonna go rewatch and see how he looked versus the run and see if it was that bad. But O'Shane Ximines was getting to the pass rusher, and we know that he has that pure pass rush ability. It's year 3, which is when players, especially pass rushers who might be a little developmental, kind of find their stride a little bit. And again, we didn't really get to see him play last year, so there's really not much to judge him off last year. So I think O'Shane Ximines right now probably is that first guy off the bench after the top 2.
He's the first guy off the bench, and I will say this till the cows come home. He's the first guy off the bench on passing downs. You'll let us know, when you look back and how he set the edge. But the first drive of the game where there was a big Cleveland play, and it sort of pseudo ran through his hole, ran through his gap, I guess, where he flat out did not set the edge. So there definitely was one play in the beginning of the game where he just flat out did not do a good job, and it ran kind of right by him. So that is why you saw O'Shane mostly in the 4 linebacker / 2 edge rusher sets last year. When he was on the field last year, he was on the field with an additional outside linebacker and then also 2 other inside linebackers on the field. He was never really on the field when the Giants had 3 defensive lineman formations and then 1 edge rusher. And that's because usually when you have your big formation, you have your big boys out on the field, you want that 4th guy to be somebody who can set the edge. And I don't know if O'Shane could do that consistently, and definitely a guy like Lorenzo Carter can, and we're hoping Aziz can as well. But O'Shane, I hate, again, I'm
it's a weak position group. It's a weak position group right now.
Yeah, but I'm still I'm poo-pooing on him. This is the one guy. I don't even know if I expect Aziz to just really beat and embarrass even guys like, second string guys at this point, because he's still so raw and he's still so young. If there's one guy that I really expected to have a game like he did today, it is O'Shane Ximines.
You're saying? I feel like you're saying that with a negative connotation.
I am.
But so you expected him to play the game that he played today, and he played it, and you're mad.
I am mad. I'm just mad in general right now. I don't know. I want to watch the Outer Banks.
Well, I mean, you got to edit the show afterwards. So
I do. You're right.
You might as well just put that to bed. Of watching that tonight. So I might watch an episode. Actually, I'm not saying what I'm watching because I don't want people to spoil it for me, and I know people will. So yeah, I mean that's what the edge room looks like. D-line. Now let's talk about. Let's go from the exact opposite of like edge. It's like, can somebody set themselves apart and be good? D-line. It's like we got too many people in this freaking position group. David Moa was all over the field. Had 7 tackles. He smacked Kyle Lauletta at the end of the half, which was fun to watch. Like, he was making plays. And also Raymond Johnson, who me and you both like, had 3 tackles, half a sack, 1 tackle for a loss. Do they keep a 6th defensive lineman? Because right now you have Larry Williams-Dex, Danny Shelton, and Austin Johnson, and B.J. Hill. Like, those are 5. Do they do what they did last year with R.J. McIntosh, where they keep a 6th guy? Maybe he's not active, but it's like we don't want to lose this guy. Because I think if Raymond Johnson has a good preseason, I think he's someone that could definitely get stolen by another team that doesn't have the greatest interior defensive line in the league, like the Giants probably do.
I think Raymond Johnson does get stolen. I think he did. I think he had a better game pass rushing wise versus the Jets last week. And again, I don't know how he did against the run because it's just tough to see. But during those passing downs, like, he is the guy that I'm looking for, and he's always constantly making some sort of move. He's active. They love to stunt him. They love it. They love to stunt him, and he starts in one area and then he runs around another interior defensive lineman. Then boom, he has an open lane to a quarterback, and he's putting his hands up and he's getting in the face of a quarterback. So it was fun to see David Moa though. running down the field. Not even on that one play where he forced a fumble towards the end of the half on Luletta, but the dude is just the motor. His motor is insane, and he's making plays all over the field. And he was on the practice squad last year for the Giants, so hopefully he's a guy that they can keep around. It would be a little redundant to have Austin Johnson, Danny Shelton, and Moa, so I think Raymond Johnson fits the team better in terms of having another pass rusher option at interior defensive line, which it may be redundant to BJ Hill, but I don't care. I just like Raymond Johnson more.
Well, even David Moa could be a guy. I don't even know if anyone's going to steal David Moa. Raymond Johnson, you can see, and that has a lot to do with some of those decisions.
Yep.
How about this? Why about we trade BJ Hill? Last year of his deal, could we get anything for BJ Hill back and just put Raymond Johnson in that role?
I mean, I look at it this way where, if you got a 6th-round pick for Marcus Golden, who was a proven pass rusher in this league coming off of a 10-sack season, and you got a 6th-round pick for him, then what are you going to get for B.J. Hill? 6th-round pick? That's the only thing.
Yeah, I don't think the market for B.J. Hill is too much right now. But I guess it's an idea, something to think about. You know what, maybe you package...
Yeah.
Okay, right. Maybe you package him in Ryan Santoso for like some type player. By the way, Ryan Santoso, there's a good chance he gets traded to the Patriots at the end of next week.
Okay, good chance.
If he has a good practice next week, there's a good chance he's traded to the Patriots.
And this is a guess on your end.
Yes, it's a very
informed guess.
Yeah,
it's an informed guess.
I mean, let's cut the crap. Ian Rappaport talked about him being traded. Essentially, if he has a good like this week is like almost like a tryout for him with the Patriots.
But your information, it's not based off of Ian Rappaport.
All right, let's stop. So Ryan, dude, if we could get anything for our backup kicker, that just gets me. That really gets me going. Like that's just great GMing right there. Getting something for your backup QB. That's like what the Ravens do every year. And, the Ravens are the only team with a special team coordinator or head coach with Harbaugh. So, I'm going to celebrate that.
Let's get the 6th-round pick back that we lost for Keon Crossan.
Speaking of special teams, Cam Brown, is he just the gunner now?
He's fun, I will say. I just poo-pooed on special teams. He's fun to see, just chasing down dudes and knowing that he's an edge rusher. He was also playing interior linebacker, going back to his days at Penn State. That's what he was kind of drafted to. I don't know if he was drafted to be that, but transitioned to edge because the edge room was non-existent last year and the depth chart was thin. Yeah, he's fun. Chased down there was a punt where I think the Giants lost containment at first, but then he chased a guy down and made a nice play and still made the tackle, I believe, just outside the 20 or right before the 20-yard line.
How about that? Special teams, 2 weeks in a row.
There you go.
Good amount of special teams, like from all different angles. Casey Kreider, or Carson Tinker. Maybe we could trade him as a long snapper to another team. Maybe I'll time Carson Tinker's long snaps compared to Casey Kreider.
B.J. Hill, backup kicker, Tinker.
Yep, and
Big
we'll
trade.
get
Quentin Nelson.
Michael Onwenu back.
Quentin Nelson.
Maybe if you were such a great GM, like Mark Dominic was. Sports Management Worldwide is the global leader in online sports business education. We teach people how to work on the business side of sports. All of our classes are taught by industry professionals. Your mentors have been in the game you want to work in and done the jobs you want to do. SMWW has had graduates work for all 32 NFL teams, including Patrick Hanscom, who's an area scout for the Giants. We need to reach out to Patrick. SMWW can train you to be an agent, a scout, work in front office, working with a film with digital video editing tool XOS Thunder, used by all 32 teams. Learn from people like former Tampa Bay GM Mark Dominic, football analytics gurus Aaron Schatz, football player development from former NFL coach Steve Fairchild. Learn the skills and knowledge you need to know to work in at all levels and turn your dream into a reality. They may not be able to teach Danny Dimes to finish out his 80. You know what? We have to read that line every time. I'm changing it. They may not be able to teach Jalen Hurts to complete 55% of his passes, or Mike McCarthy to be a decent head coach and learn how to, have a disciplined defense where you're not just like the most easiest trick play team, like where when teams are playing you, like, hey, we're going to run our trick plays versus the Cowboys because they have the most undisciplined defense in NFL history, possibly.
Yeah.
You may not be able to teach Washington how to pick a name after a freaking 2 years of not knowing a name. Pick a freaking name. But they can teach you to work in football. Apply free at smww.com and use the discount code GIANTS for $50 off the course of your choice. They offer courses in football, baseball, basketball, soccer, and more. If you have always dreamed of a job working in sports, Sports Manager Worldwide can help you. From sports betting to esports, sports broadcasting. Hey, maybe I should take a course. They have the what you know and who you know to get you in the game you love.
Can we talk about the bad?
Rodarius Williams played a little safety. Matt Cole was that cornerback, which was weird. Seeing number 83, and Trenton Harris played a little stack inside linebacker. No, we could talk about the bad.
All right, well, here's something on Cole before we get to the bad. If he could play wide receiver, defensive back, and special teams all in one game, then Jabril Peppers can play offense. Why isn't that a thing?
Why would it be a thing?
Why would it be a thing? Because basically Jabril Peppers can be Kadarius Toney.
That is the biggest reach I've ever seen.
No,
you're basing it purely off of high school football film, which
yes.
Every single player, every single wide receiver and corner on these teams played offense.
But you don't
every
understand.
single corner on the team played offense.
You don't understand. Jabril Peppers has broken records, like I'm pretty sure nationally, like in track at the time. He was probably the most highly touted. Is that the right word? Highly anticipated, like, high school prospect in the country. In the country at the time. Like, nobody had as much hype around him as Jabril Peppers did when he, like, made his decision where he was going to go and what he was going to do. So, telling you, it's my dream, and you can't take it away from me.
I don't share the vision on that. All right, what was bad?
Devontae Downs, Sam Beal, Ryan Anderson. Bad.
Ryan Anderson looked really bad.
Yeah.
Dude, that Sam Beal clip, and here's an idea for you. He just, like, floats, like, he jumps for the ball and, like, floats away from the play. Like, you should make a video where it's, like, continuing into, like, the abyss of Sam Beal just floating away.
I can do that.
I mean, that was an embarrassing rap.
And then do you know the song, do, 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 do,
Yeah,
do,
I was thinking you could do that, too.
All right, got it.
Just have it, like, floating through there. Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
I'll put it on the Bob Papa Coles account because I'll put music in it so I don't get my account taken away.
Right on. Put it on TikTok too.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else?
Well,
Kyle Rudolph.
well, no. Can we talk about how bad Devontae Downs is? Can I like?
I really don't.
I don't want to break it down. Here's the question I want to ask: does Devontae Downs think he is a good football player? Like if you ask Devontae Downs, how would you evaluate yourself as a football player? Is he like confident?
Doesn't play like it.
Bad, just very bad.
Yeah, Ryan Anderson didn't look very good at all. It was like every time he was on the screen, it was him messing up.
When we found out that he wasn't cut, I got a little discouraged.
Kyle Rudolph was running routes, and Joe Judge made it seem like he's going to be back this week, which is very encouraging because the last couple weeks have been like, what the hell's going on with Kyle Rudolph?
That's the biggest storyline this week, IMO.
Yeah, I think he's going to be ready for week one. If he's going to practice this week and be part of stuff, there's no reason why they have 3 more weeks until week one. If he's ramping up this week and becoming back part of the team, no reason to not be playing week one. Maybe you're not giving him 80% of the snaps week one, but he should be playing, close to whatever role you envision for him. He's a pro's pro. It's not like you need him to, he's not going to get a ton better throughout training camp. It's just getting him in shape and up to date with the plays and all that. But again, he's a pro's pro, so I don't see that as being an issue for Kyle Rudolph.
Kyle Rudolph watch hashtag is going to be big this week when I'm in Massachusetts.
Yes, that will be big. Make sure you get Kyle Rudolph clips. How about that?
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph watch. Saquon Barkley watch. Kenny Galladay watch. Those 3 things. Hashtag.
Okay, so the show's over.
Yeah. Can I evaluate myself right now?
Well, I got some other things. What do you mean evaluate yourself?
I didn't have a good show.
All right, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Did you have any thoughts about the fight on Friday?
I wanted the Giants to sign Troy Hill, and that's a bad look on me.
I wanted them to target Troy Hill all game.
Did he play?
And he wasn't supposed to play, and he played a little bit because Kevin Stefanski said, if you fight, you're going to play.
LOL.
and they did, which
that's your price.
Can I tell you that Sterling Shepard isn't the only person associated with the Giants that almost got into a fight on Friday?
Did you almost get into a fight on Friday?
I almost got into a fight on Friday.
Oh, okay. Story time.
Very serious. So Friday morning, I'm at the gas station, and it's a gas station where you have two pump. It's just it's one like little central like gas pump thing. You have two pumps on one side, two on the other. And then so there's a lady with a bigger truck who is on the back pump of two pumps. So the front pump is available, and there's another person sitting behind her. But I'm like, well, I don't understand why that guy didn't pull around, but I'm going to back into the spot and pump my gas. And there was plenty of room for her to get out, And then, so I start pumping my gas. She finishes, gets in her truck, and sits there for like 20 seconds, thinking she can't pull out. And I wave her around. I was like, you got plenty of room. So she pulls out. The guy behind her who's waiting pulls up, and he says something like, you couldn't, you blocked her in. And I was just like, what? What? Excuse me, what? He's like, you shouldn't have blocked her in. You saw, I was waiting. I was like, she just left. So how are you gonna say I blocked her? I was like, how did I block her in? He's like, anyways, you saw I was waiting. Like you shouldn't have done that. And I don't know, it just set me off because it was just so dumb what he was saying. I was like, hey man, why don't you shut the bleep up? Just got all like. And he goes, why don't you shut the F up?
Did you actually say you said that?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to say it.
No, I said it.
Good for you.
And I can't remember, said something, and he's like, who do you think you're talking to? And I was just like, you. And he, he said something, and then I was like, hey man, shut the F up or do something. He goes, well, you shut the F up. I was like, you have an issue with me. I was like, either do something or go away. I was like, you clearly have issues. And then he kind of like muttered something and just started pumping his gas
What
afterwards.
was the size of this human being?
He was like 6 foot, 6'1".
Oh, well, I mean, that's not a smart life decision if you're choosing a fight against you.
You never know if he has a gun, which was in my head. Was like, does he have a gun? That was the only thing that was in my head. Like, does he have a gun?
That has been your incentive to not fight, which honestly, that should be the incentive for everybody in today's world not to fight, because people will pull out a gun.
Yeah, I mean, it just set me off. It's like, dude, what you're saying makes no sense. You said that she couldn't pull out.
What was that, your
wife? She
wife?
literally just pulled out. She just pulled out. What do you mean I didn't give her room to pull out? She pulled out.
I'm going to clip that.
Stop. Women don't pull out. So that's not how that works. But I was just livid. Like, oh, man. It was just like, it was like arguing with a stupid person. That's why I was like, you know what, man? Shut up. Just shut up. Freaking pissed me off.
I held the door open for somebody recently, and they didn't say thank you, and then I said, you're welcome to them.
I'm not, you say you shouldn't do stuff like that.
Well, I'm a bad guy. I mean, I already know this, so.
You're like, that's worse than trying to fight someone at a gas pump, is doing that.
I'm a bad guy.
The Sterling Shepard fight stuff was pretty funny, though.
Made some good memes.
Oh, yeah. And I love the people being like, Troy Hill's from Youngstown. And it's like, someone had a great
Does
reply.
that mean something? Am I supposed to know what that means?
Well, Youngstown has like a lot of fighters and boxers and stuff.
Oh.
And then so someone replied with like the picture of him, like with his thumbs sticking out and like his hands up in the air. It's like is Youngstown really going to claim this dude?
Shouldn't.
So, and then I made fun of his set where it's like his hands are high in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, this is how I know you're not from New York. And I respond, I was like, this is how I know you're not from Florida, because they do this everywhere, dummy. Which I usually don't, I've been good about not replying to negative responses, but I was like, you know what, that one annoyed me. It's like, don't act like only people in New York fight with that set. Like, it is nationwide. It's like, and Troy Hill's
not a good stance.
Troy Hill's
not fight
it's a bad stance. I was making fun of it. And Troy Hill's not even from New York. So, that's it. Do you got anything else before we close this show down?
You should not fight with your hands above your head.
No, it's a horrible set. It leaves your chin wide open, and then any punch you have, like you gotta like, it's just wasted motion. Like when people get mad at Daniel Jones for paddling the ball, having your hands up in the air like that is wasted motion because you essentially have to bring him down to like pack some power into your punch. If you're slap boxing, maybe it works because you kind of have your elbows protecting your face, and no one's gonna slap like into your chin like that. But just fighting, it's a horrible set.
Are we rubbing off on the Giants?
Yes, the culture of violence. No, the Giants are rubbing off on us. They have a lawsuit of being a culture of violence.
Reciprocal relationship. They call that reciprocity,
I don't know. I did not know that.
Yeah, now you know.
All right, anything else?
No, sorry you listened to the show.
Why? I thought there was... What do you mean, sorry?
This was a bad game to talk about because, like, not a lot happened, and everybody that played is, like, not going to make the team.
It's better than talking about practice. It's better than
I love
any
talking about
episode.
practice.
It's
Don't
better
do
than
that
any
to me.
off-season episode.
I love talking about practice.
All right. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you with PPPs all week. Friday, Justin's going to be in New England the whole week, so Justin will be from New England on the Friday pod. We'll have Zach Rosenblatt on the show. So we'll see you guys then. We appreciate you. Make sure to join the live streams, by the way. Like, we have to hit a certain number of views, and part of that is, the way we can continue to do these type of things to get them sponsored. So we appreciate you guys. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.